right, sitting here with Miss Gorgeous Maisey Yates with that, oh, so cool. I love that red top. That is just so, you're like ready for the 4th of July, and it isn't the 4th of July yet. I am loving it.
I'm
Very
like,
cool.
my air conditioner's out, so I'm like anything that's
No.
well, I have air conditioning in here in my office, but not in the house currently.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. Well, that's sort of kind of good, almost maybe. But all right, we've just been chatting here as we get everything, as Sheila does her usual stumbling through the technology to get us going here. But I'm going to welcome, I know you all will be arriving hopefully in a minute here. A welcome to our Facebook peeps and our Insta peeps. And of course, this will soon be up on YouTube also. So all of you and any of you joining us, I'm so happy you could today because Maisey Yates, oh, we got all kinds of cool stuff to talk about with this girl today. I'm very, very excited to be getting Maisey back on again. And hi, some of my regulars are already here. And you guys are so well trained. I love it. They tell us where they're coming in from, which is really fun. Hi, Pam. Pam from Gatlinburg. We've got Diane ringing in from New Jersey. And Cindy is here from Ohio. I see Nicole has made it from Arizona. Thanks, you guys. And I see a couple of we've got some of us from our gang on Instagram that's starting to come in. So very fun to have you all here with us today. We are going to be talking about Maisey's wild and amazing life as well as her books, and it's going to be fun. And Kathy has arrived from Idaho. Hi, Susie's here. Susie Baldwin, our buddy from Washington. So thanks for coming, guys. I'll try and be sure to welcome people as they come in as we go along. Hopefully, if I overlook you, please forgive me because multitasking, we always say what good multitaskers we are. And I'm a good multitasker, except for when it comes to technology. Lisa's here. Hi, Lisa. And we've got a couple more. We have got a couple more have joined us on Instagram now. So thanks, guys. Here with Maisey Yates. And we're going to jump right into it because I have a lot I want to talk to her about. First of all, guys, Maisey is at a secret location. Maisey this is too funny. I called Maisey earlier. Maybe you're home again now, but when I talked to her, okay, early, just yesterday, and she's like, I'm holed up in a hotel and I'm trying to finish the edits and finish this book. And I'm trying to think, I mean, you put out a lot of books a year. How many books a year would you say you put out?
This is gonna sound bad. I don't know, especially because of the vagaries of traditional publishing. And so I feel like there is deeply this year. It looks like I've had people be like, "How do you sleep?" And I'm like, "So what happened is, what happened is like Cruel Summer, which is what we're talking about. I wrote that book 3 years ago.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
After I wrote it, Harlequin asked me if I would do 2 thrillers instead, which I did under a different name. And instead of putting Cruel Summer out when I wrote it, they put these thrillers out. And so there's this weird thing happening where a few of the books with Harlequin I actually wrote 2 to 3 years ago, and they're coming out this year. And so I also have a new series with Kensington, but that one I actually wrote last year. So I wasn't writing both at the same time. It's just I don't have any control over when things release, and things got goofy. So I knew 2025 was going to be silly. And then on top of that, I have a very, very old series with Berkeley called Silver Creek that came out, I think, 12 or 13 years ago. It was like my first cowboy series, and they're reissuing them. And so I have like my first trade version of one of my Silver Creek books coming out on July 1st. So things are really weird right now. And so I'm like, I don't even know. I don't know how many books I have coming out this year. And I don't know how many of them I actually wrote in the year, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I have a real plausible deniability for why I can't answer that question.
But I know you write more than 2 books a year, right?
Oh yeah. Because I'm still writing for Harlequin Presents. And I'm mostly doing that under another name, but I write for Harlequin Presents, Harlequin Special Edition. And then I always have a couple of 3 single titles at least in a year. So yeah. It's a few.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it. You're just like a machine. It's just amazing to me. She's a force of nature, folks. All this stuff she's been bought. By the way, Connie says she loves Silver Creek. So
Thank you, Connie.
By the way, hi. We've got a lot more people that have come in. Nancy's come in from Wisconsin. Connie from Columbus. We've got Jeannie here from North Carolina. Vicky from Gardenville. And I see more of my Instagram gang. And hi, gang. All it ever shows me is usually I see your handle, but I always see where you're coming from. But good evening, all of you. Oh, here from Carolyn's here from Michigan. So anyway, we're really happy you're with us, and I hope you like Dazzle and Amaze. Every time I talk to Maisie, I'm like, what I want to know what vitamins you're taking, and can I clone you, and can I be 30 years younger and be you? So anyway, but it's really amazing what she puts out, and we are of course going to be talking about her newest book, a couple of different books actually. But in addition to all this writing, you just seem to get around a lot. Every time I turn around, you and of course she's good buddies with Megan Crane, who will be joining us a little bit later on here this year. I don't remember when I've got her scheduled for. She'll be coming on. By the way, hey, hi Kelly, glad you could join us. But you girls, I know you guys are besties and you do a lot of stuff together. How are you? You got kids, you got stuff. How is it managing to do all these fun travel things?
Well, when I was on the cruise with you, I had my 15-year-old daughter with me, so I don't usually escape unscathed, I guess. No, it's my kids are older, so I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, and so my daughter definitely still wants me around a lot, but like my boys don't care.
They're boys. They're ready to go out and do their thing.
Like my oldest lives 3 hours away. He's home for the summer because he's in school. But and then also it's work stuff we've just always made space for when things come up because my husband was a stay-at-home dad for a long time with the kids. He's not now because they're older. So it's like he's sort of in that space that I think it's more common for like stay-at-home moms to be in, where you go like, oh, I need to like figure out what I want to do now because like my kids they don't need me at home. Like we still have to drive them a lot of places, but yeah, so he's always like done a lot of that. And yeah, I was like, and I also think social media like makes it look like you're maybe doing more than you are. Cause I'm like, I haven't been anywhere since, I'm like, have I even been anywhere since I went on the cruise with you? I don't.
Oh
think
yeah,
so.
well yeah, you were someplace, I don't know, out in the wilderness somewhere. I could have sworn I saw a post.
Oh, I went up to Cannon Beach for a few days.
Okay, yeah, because I'm
Yeah. So I was just in Oregon though. I went up, yeah. So I do a fair amount of road tripping. Like I had a couple days where I did stay in Cannon Beach for a couple days, and then like I did a little road trip just up the coast with some friends, not even overnight like we do. So I drive a lot around. We did the redwoods and things like that. Just because I love where I live. So I love to, and I had a friend staying with me. Oh, that's right. I went to Disneyland. My friend came to stay with me from New Zealand. And she's also a writer, Jackie Ashenden. And so she was staying in my camper and we were still working and writing and stuff. And then when she went back, she has to fly home like via LA because she's in New Zealand. I went back with her and we went to Disneyland for a day while she was waiting for her flight. I went back.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, that makes more sense. But because I'm thinking, gosh, I'm just getting so darn boring. We're after our last big cruise, as many of my gang know, I got all kinds of creepy little bugs and perforated eardrums on antibiotics. It was like just creepy, and I think you guys have all heard me mention my friend Debbie Makeover talks about the golden circle, where you're a certain age, you've got money, you've got time, it's perfect time to travel. And I told somebody, I think the golden circle has kicked us out. So I thought our traveling may be probably not so much international travel anymore, but I think sometimes as writers, or at least in my case, you feel like I should always be exotic, I should be doing something glamorous and exciting. And really, sometimes the most excitement we're having is in our head, especially if you've got a book deadline. I'm going, I have to keep posting because I don't want you guys to get bored and not be my friend on social media. But it's like, but guys, I got to get this book written, and so sometimes it's like, gosh, what could I be doing that's interesting? And sometimes it's just not, you're just sitting there cranking out a book.
Oh, I know. Well, I was going to say that's another thing. Like, there's travel, but if you actually think about how, if you had a full-time job out of your house, how often you would be out of your house, I'm like, we probably put those hours into the travel because otherwise we're home all the time.
Yeah, because there's no office you're going to.
Not leaving for like 3 weeks at a time. And now that I can get grocery delivery out to where I live, I will really do that. If I'm not like picking kids up from school, because for a really brief window of time, my daughter was doing online schooling and my son could take the bus, and that gravy train is ending for me this year. So I'll be back doing taxi back and forth. But I was like, oh, this is amazing. I don't have to go anywhere. I can just like get my groceries delivered. But then it's like I've been in pajamas for 3 weeks, so we have to do something about that.
Nothing wrong with pajamas.
Yeah,
They're
so
cute,
it's two
right?
settings basically. It's like either I'm out, on a beautiful cruise, or I am a goblin. So it's one or the other. There's
I
really
know,
no.
one extreme or the other, huh? We got a few comments coming in, by the way. Kelly said she is gonna be in Sun River. What did you say about Kelly? She
Oh, I love
loves Oregon. Gonna be in Sun River soon here for a couple of weeks. Oh, lucky you! That sounds so glamorous. Oh my gosh! And Amanda loves pajamas, so you're good. So we got new people that have come in. So hi to Debbie and Tanya and Vicky and Amanda from Massachusetts. So thanks all for coming. And Jeannie already had a question. She wants to know what are your pen names?
So the thrillers are written as Ellie Banks, and
Ellie
then
who?
Ellie
who?
Banks.
Okay, did you guys get that?
Yes. And then my presents are under Millie Adams, because basically when I chose pseudonyms, I was like, I'm going to be at the beginning of the alphabet. Tired of being at the end, tired of being on the lowest shelf, tired of being the last person on every list at the signings. And people are like, I already bought too many books. I wish I would have known you were all the way down here. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, Millie Adams, Ellie Banks. So maybe if I get another one, it'll be a C. But I was like, I'm not doing this. So anyway, there you go.
You can be Carly Cash Cow. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah, I like it.
By the way, Vicky says, I love cruising. I know, Vicky, when am I going to see you on another cruise? I mean, guys, we're still planning to do this Readers Cruise in 2027. I need to bug our little travel agent and make sure she's keeping her eyes peeled. I had wanted to do it next year. And when we'd chosen to go up to the fall, Cape Cod thing, those were already booked. It was like, seriously? But
wow.
So we're still keeping that in mind though. And I'm sure I'm going to be able to convince Maisey to go along again.
You got to twist my rubber arm to get me to go.
That was so much fun. Oh my gosh.
That was great.
Really, we had such a good time doing that. It was great.
Yes, that was amazing.
Anyway, okay, I do have more questions. So let me look at my piece of paper here. Oh yeah. I did mention Megan, your buddy Megan, and I wanted you to talk a little about, you guys had done an anthology together. And I remember when we were on the cruise, you guys were showing us some artwork having to do with that. Yes. And there's kind of a cool story behind that. You want to share that? Because it's kind of fun.
Yeah, Megan's husband it's actually great. Megan and I did a panel at Comic-Con this year in Medford, Oregon, not at Comic-Con capitalized TM, at like a Comic-Con in Medford, Oregon. And because her husband is a comic book artist. And so he's a fantastic artist. He's worked in like mainstream comics, Marvel and DC, all of that. And then he has I'm going to plug, if anybody likes comic books, he's doing a self-published like comic series called Rogue's Kingdom. And he just got his Kickstarter up for that. And but he's an amazing artist. He's very renowned in comic books. And we got free art from him for our anthologies because Megan's married to him. So we did 4 books in the Jasper Creek series, and Jeff Johnson is his name. And he did like these really beautiful drawings for it. And I think my favorite one is in Sweet Home Cowboy. And we had these 4 heroines who all had like boys' names. We had Elliot, Georgie, Joey, and am I not gonna be able to pull the other one out? Joey, Georgie, Elliot. That's okay. And Teddy. And he did drawings for all of them in the style of like those illustrated classics forever ago. And they're just so cute. It's so cute. And I love those. And so not only was it a great, like it was a friendship project with the 4 of us who are really good friends, but to have Megan's husband contribute art to it just made it feel even more like, it's just very cozy. And I really love that. Those were so fun.
And tell us again the name of the anthology.
So it's the Jasper Creek series. And so if you look up, we have, now I'm really going to test myself to try to remember all the titles. Comeback Cowboy, Sweet Home Cowboy, A Cowboy for All Seasons, and oh man, I don't remember the other one. I have too many books with cowboy in the title.
I was going to say, do you think there might be cowboys in these stories?
There may be cowboys. You may find a cowboy or 2 in there.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun though.
Oh, I see. So somebody asked why Millie and Ellie, and I actually have an answer to the question. So my favorite movie is 7 Brides for 7 Brothers.
Oh, love that movie.
Millie and Adam are the main couple, I guess, in the story. So Millie Adams. So I wanted an A, but Adams is from Millie and Adam from Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. And Ellie is because my middle name is Elizabeth. And Banks because of Mary Poppins. It's the Banks family, and my mom loved Mary
Oh, cool.
Poppins. And so I wanted so I was trying to choose names with like I said, up toward the front of the alphabet, but then also I kind of wanted them to have some significance. But I was like Ellie, I guess, because Elizabeth is too long, and Liz, I'm not a Liz, doesn't work for me.
I think those names are really cute. And by the way, Cindy says we all love cowboys. Don't we,
Yes.
for sure? Oh my gosh, cowboys are just gorgeous and so fun. But don't they smell like horses? But
I think probably sweat and hay. So there was a years ago now, 12 years ago probably, there was a national news about this cowboy that lassoed a thief in the Walmart parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
That was in Eagle Point, Oregon, which is about 40 minutes from me. And I went to a baseball game, and he was throwing the opening pitch, and I got to meet him. And so I will
gosh.
Yeah, I mean, and he was clean, so he smelled nice. So
that's a good thing to know. Very fun.
Yeah, but I'm like, I need to use that in a book. So I actually met him. His name was Robert.
I love that. Yeah, the lassoing oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was great.
That is just too fun. Well, let's shift to the new book, Cruel Summer. I was telling her before we went on, I'm going, this sounds kind of, well, either like a thriller or kind of depressing. And so I want you to tell us a little bit about what's behind this, because I thought this was really interesting, how you used a hard thing in your life and was able to gold mine a wonderful novel out of it.
Well, my first inspiration for the book really was, what is the first line in the book? Like, so that initial thing when you actually like pitch a story and you don't know the whole substance of the book yet or anything, I thought of this opening scene where a husband, who's been married to his wife for years and years, says, I think we should see other people.
Oh, wow.
And I was thinking about that. I was thinking about like, what would you do? And so so that's sort of the jumping off point of the book, is this sort of complicated, it's a complicated situation in this woman's marriage where like her husband wants to have an open marriage. And she's like, that, I didn't sign up for that. I don't want that. I want my life. But she still thinks maybe if they part for a little while, that he'll change his mind and he'll want things to go back, because he'll find out that his life without her is not that great. And so she's sort of committed to this idea of, I'm basically going to wait here for him to come back.
Boy, is she nice. I'd have been, I go see somebody and I'm having the locks changed.
I don't know that she was nice. I think she was shocked. Yeah. And then as it kind of goes on, she ends up getting roped into doing this. Her husband's friend, who is a family friend, is he restores classic cars, and then he has to deliver them to the owners. And they're these like very, very fancy, very expensive, sell for like $500,000. That was fun to research, was all these different cars. And so she gets a job driving these cars across the country with him. And so they basically go on 3 or 4 road trips across the country. And she's over the summer during her separation from her husband. And she starts to sort of ask herself what happiness actually looks like to her. Do you want to hang on to somebody that doesn't really want to hang on to you, and all that kind of stuff? And mixed in with that, I had it so that her mother died a couple years before the book starts. And so that was very much, I started writing the book about 6 or 7 months after I lost my mom. And I thought it was really cathartic to put that stuff in there. And I think I can see why people would think, oh, that sounds like a sad book. But I just think grief is one of those things that we all have to go through.
Yeah.
And you can't sidestep it. It's part of life. It's part of life as much as anything. And so this is a book about sort of the things that you don't ask to deal with in your life, but you have to deal with them. And how do you then find hope and joy and who you are when you've defined your life in all these ways, by being somebody's daughter, by being somebody's wife, by being a mom in this really specific way. 'Cause she's also a brand new empty nester. And so it's sort of her being like, well, if I'm not all these things, who am I?
Yeah. Then
I actually think it's I think it's emotional, but to me it's like, those are all things that we have to deal with. Those are all questions we have to answer, and no one can do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. And I think she does some I actually went zip lining in Skamania, which she goes to Skamania and stays at the same lodge I was at and does zip lining. And I went and did it and like then wrote the scene. And I'm afraid of heights. And I was like, I'm gonna
Oh,
go
I can't believe you did it, afraid of heights. Ah.
I know. I'm like, I hated it for half the time, and then I really enjoyed it for like right before it was over,
Oh,
you know.
interesting.
But I was like, this is terrible. But because it was really scary, but it was like really cool, and then I got to write about it, and so it was sort of like writing her doing, and even it's almost like writing her having like an adolescence where she's like, well, who am I, like starting over, and who am I now, and like if okay, I can try these things, and like I can, you know, she goes to a cowboy bar and like rides on the bull, and like somebody flirts with her and she's like, hey, that's kind of fun, and like and like trying on these different versions of who she gets to be now. And so in a lot of ways, I think, you know, it's kind of hopeful, and like I said, but it's all things that like she wouldn't have asked to be dealing with any of it, but she is. And
Yeah.
so those moments where you go, okay, well, what can you do but kind of pick yourself back up and go, well, who do I want to be? So all these other people have opinions, but like, what do I want? And so so yeah, I think actually, yeah, and I didn't really find it sad to write. I found it therapeutic, you know,
Okay.
because I was like, especially when you, well, like to go back to the Jasper Creek series, I wrote it was Sweet Home Cowboy, my novella about Joey is the heroine, and I wrote that one while my mom was on hospice, and I decided to have the hero have lost his wife some years before and write about his grief, because I thought there's something really nice about getting to look like to examine an older grief fictionally while you're sort of facing that down for yourself in a new way, and go, I want to write what's it like when you can look back on this, and sort of that you have figured out a place to put the love that you have for this person that you no longer have with you in a physical sense, but you carry them with you. And I think for me as a writer, I didn't want anything to feel too painful to write about. You know, I wanted to have it all available to me, because writing is really how I process my feelings. And I always hope somebody else gets something out of it too. But sorry, guys, it's for me. It's for me. I'm like, I need therapy, so I'm going to write about it. And I'm going to go, you know, how am I feeling about this, and what do I want to explore about it, and like what angle am I looking at it today? And I don't know that the way that I write about it now is the way that I wrote about it 10 years ago.
But because you're changing,
All,
you know?
no, exactly. And so, but it's all this like conversations with really difficult things. And I think when you're writing, Cruel Summer is technically a women's fiction, but there is a romance in it, and it does have a happy ending. And no, it's not with her terrible husband, but it's she gets better,
Good.
deserves better, she deserves better. But I think it's you know, when you're writing romance, that is what you're writing, is you're writing about people who have been through a lot of things, but in the end, there's hope. They choose to heal, and they choose love, both to love other people and to receive it. And so to me, that's kind of the overall theme in everything that I write. And it's the thing that I believe in.
I think, in fact, Cindy even just posted here, we're always evolving. And I thought that is really true. I think the question of who am I now, especially for us as women, that that is a cyclical thing. The empty nester. Okay, now who am I? You lose, and I remember when my mom died, it took me a year, and we're Christians, so I thought, well, I know I'll see her again, but it was like, but I still want her here with me, you know, kind of thing. That's selfish. I just don't want to let go. And took me about a year to be able to think about my mom and not cry, you know. And still sometimes like Elvis, like, oh, mom would have loved this, or mom would have loved this new book, and you know, and those kind of thoughts. So, you know, you're right. Who am I now with this person not in my life? And I know a lot of our gals who've been on, had joined us in the past and might even right now be here, have lost husbands. And again, it's okay, now who am I now without this person in my life? And I remember also going through that. I've had my career stumbles, and a couple times when I just thought, well, that's it. That's the end of me as a writer. And at one point I had reached the point where that was my tunnel vision, narrow definition of who I was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, I don't have a job. Who am I now if I'm not a writer? You know, and I think sometimes we do tend to have tunnel vision in who we are as women, don't you? It's like we are much more than we think we are. And we're much more to so many people, don't you think?
Yeah. And I think, you know, we can get that looking at ourselves how we're defined by those external things rather than, you know, who you are, like in the deepest part of you, like who, and the fact that you have value outside of the things that you're doing for other people, and, you know, the things that, even the work we're putting out in the world.
Yeah, yeah, always. Okay, Kathy, I identify. We lost our handicapped daughter a few years ago, so I am so sorry about losing. And that's the other thing, because you feel like I suppose we're getting in kind of deep waters here, guys, and I promise I'll pull us out in a minute. But nobody ever expects to outlive your child. You know, that's just not how the order of things are supposed to go. And so I'm very sorry you went through that. And yeah, Gino said, yeah, recently read The Shell Collector. Cried like a baby. Yeah, after losing my mother, it's hard. But let's go just a minute a little bit lighter, because our moms are often such a big part of our lives. And I'm going to ask Maisey this, but if you guys would like to comment also, do you have some fun mommyisms that you remember your mom saying when you were growing up? My mother's favorite was, I am the mother. And she was all 4'9", you know, and would wear her little spike high heels. And she was so adorable. She's kind of like a modern day Betty Boop. She was so cute. But boy, and then the other one, I would try and kind of argue with her, and she'd go, not another word. And I opened my mouth, not another word. So I was like two mom, when mom was in her little Betty Boop armor. Those were her two favorite mommyisms. So Maisey, did your mom have a mommyism?
So I think I have two. So, and I don't know that I remember one time she asked me this, and there's a song called Marjorie by Taylor Swift. And I feel like that's relevant because Cruel Summer, I know there's a song in the 80s too, but Cruel Summer is titled after the Taylor Swift song, Cruel Summer. And, but there's a song called Marjorie that she wrote about her grandma. And the first line is, never be so kind, you forget to be clever, and never be so clever, you forget to be kind. And that makes me think of my mom, because she would definitely say, she would ask sometimes, well, is it more important to be clever or to be kind? Or to be right,
I love that.
Kind. And
because
so for her,
you can be.
yes. And so for her, the answer was kind. And that is who she was as a person. But make no mistake, she was not a pushover. Now, my mom was 5'4". My dad is 6'4". My brother and I land somewhere in the middle. So my mom was definitely the smallest one in the family. So she was a small woman, and she at her funeral, so she worked at our church for years and years. She worked in the kids ministry, and she loved kids, and that was her thing. She worked at a preschool, she worked in the children's ministry at the church, and the pastor that was her sort of over her in the kids ministry was the one who did her funeral. And he was talking about how he didn't really want to do it. He had actually quit being a pastor and stuff. And that's a whole other story. But we had asked him to come and do it because we were like, you were really important to her, and you're the person that we want to have do it. And he didn't want to. And he told this story at the service. He said, I remember one time I had to do something for the kids ministry, and he was going on. He said, oh, Peggy, I don't really want to do it. And I don't really feel like it. And she said, well, Jeff, lucky it's not about you.
Wow.
And I feel like that sums her up. Kind, but direct, and always going to remind you, like, she's going to pull you out of your own self if you were being selfish, or you were sort of, having that attitude of like, well, I don't feel like it. So, well, it's not about you.
I love it.
That's what I always think of, is that kind of the sweet, but very firm tenacity.
Telling the truth in love.
Yes, it's the truth in love. That was Peggy.
Well, we've got some mommyisms coming up. See if I can get them all before they vanish. Anne Marie said, my mom would say all the time, I want to live forever. She was 99. That's so cute. And let's see, let me see if I can get, who said, did I get that one? Oops, where'd it go? Just a minute, guys. I want to make sure I try and get y'all in, because these are fun to hear. Oh yeah. So Anne Marie said her mom would say, no, that was the other one. Oh, this is Debbie. My mom would tell me to relax because I could not change what was to happen. And I think that's probably to chill out. That's a good one for me because I'm wound a little tightly. So Cindy also said, I love this one, wear your clean, good underwear in case you get in a car accident. How many of us have heard that one? Oh my gosh, that's funny. And Jeannie's mom would say, honey, speaking of undies, they put their panties on the same way you do. And so, we're all human, right? By the way, speaking of clothes, Carolyn wants to know, did you make your top?
I didn't. No, I'm working on, you can see I have some fabric behind me. So I'm working on a couple of things right now, and we'll see if I finish them in time for the RWA conference, the Romance Writers of America conference in July. But I'm like, if I have to choose between finishing the book or finishing the dress, it's going to be the books. But I've got some cute stuff back there I am working on, but this I just ordered on the internet.
It is very cute. And you're ready for the 4th of July with that. Yeah. Very fun. Oh, that's very fun. Okay, well, circling back, I don't see any more mommyisms coming in, so I want to kind of go back again with the book. How'd you pick that title? Was that your title, or did your publisher get involved? Say, here's your title.
Yeah, so it's funny because I did sell the book so many years ago. The original title was Same Time Next Year, and in the book they were supposed to be separated for a year, and then it was shelved by the publisher, put other things out, and in that time, not only did 2 people put a book out with almost the same plot.
Oh, no.
But someone used my title.
Yeah.
And so they said, a book just came out that has this title. We don't want to use it anymore. And I was not happy about it because that's a whole other story. It's one of those vagaries of publishing things that no one really wants to hear about, where you're like, well, I didn't take this long to come out in the first place. So I kind of want my title. And I wasn't very happy about it. But then, and I sent them a list of titles. And the first one I put on there was Cruel Summer. And I thought, there's no way they're going to use it because, and then in the time since then, there's actually like 4 books right now with Taylor Swift songs as titles. So that's kind of funny. It wasn't at the time. They weren't out yet. And I was like, okay, so let's, and I put it on this big long list of like 30 titles. And I said, but it does take place over a year. And I don't know that that's accurate. And they said, that's fine. It doesn't matter. But it did to me. And so I went back and I actually re-edited the book.
Wow.
And I thought, I kind of like it as an idea that actually, that this whole long relationship and this whole thing unravels over 3 months, that she has this that it is this like intensely cruel and necessary period of time where everything changes like just really quickly. And so that sort of, so the title changed the book in a way that I like, in a way that I'm really happy with, and in a way that sort of became more than just a title. And then I've never done this, but I ended up putting a playlist in the book because at that point the music became really important because the title was a song. And then I went and looked at some other music, and I always have playlists for books anyway. And so I just kind of actually really used the real playlist for the book. So and we ended up,
that's very cool.
Yeah, it ended up being really cool. And I had a bad attitude about it at the time, but it worked out.
Well, how things do have a way of working out, don't
they?
They
do, yeah.
And yeah, guys, in case you don't know, we authors don't always get to pick the titles we want. I've been really lucky and been able to keep a lot of mine, but there have been times when it was like, no, we don't. But
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is, and books are often a team effort, especially if you're an independent published author, you have a lot more freedom to do whatever you like. But when you are working with a publisher, then you've got all kinds of people on board, of course, and all wanting to make the book be the best it can, because we all benefit when that's the case.
Yeah, and I would say that always, even if it's like, no, we don't like this one, and it's one I really like, we do things like I send a whole list, and then the final pick usually comes off the list.
What else can we come up with?
So that title was one I was really happy with. I just didn't think they would go for it. And then they were like, yeah, we love it. That's awesome. So it was, so yeah, I always feel like, I don't think I've ever been stuck with a title where I was like, I didn't ever like that title, at all. So usually it's been a back and forth, and we've sort of come to, okay, we're both happy with this.
Yeah, we can live with this. And sometimes that's what it boils down to. We can both live with this. And so we'll just go with it. And sometimes I realize that I think I know best, and it turns out that I didn't know so best. So, sometimes that can be a good thing to have your publisher ring in. By the way, we had another mommyism coming. Tanya said, my mom always said, say it together, ladies, pretty is as pretty does. I'm sure a lot of you remember that one too. That's that's a great mommyism. It's a great one to keep in mind. Our moms are so special, but this book sounds special too. And I'm glad you explained the title, because at first I looked at that one, gosh, I don't know about that, but it's very, it grabs you. It's a very grabbing title. So hopefully this is going to grab a lot of readers. And guys, somebody mentioned too, I can hardly wait for it to come into my library. And I thought, remember, and I've said it before, but I like to repeat it. I understand that you are all loyal readers and supportive of authors, but there are billions of us out there, and we're all cranking out a lot of books. And so if you say, gosh, I love that book, I don't think I can afford to buy that one, then go into your local library and ask them to bring in a copy. Because as you all know, I'm sure by now, that libraries can request, they can buy books for their patrons. And so if you want to get this book and you feel like, okay, I'm just not sure I can swing it. I mean, I'm hoping you can swing it, but if you can't, then you want to go to your library and say, hey, bring this book in. This is a really cool book, and then you're doing your good deed for the day. You're helping other readers who maybe don't have it in their budget. And those library sales, those do help pay the author's bills as well. So, but hoping some of you might want to go out and find the book. You've got that one out. Let's see again the other books coming out this year, and then you could tell us. I'm assuming they're available wherever books are sold, kind of thing.
Yes, and if they're not, where the book is, much like at your library, if you have a local indie bookstore, request it. Because then they learn like, oh, there's like somebody here who's going to read a book by Maisey or by Sheila, and then they'll stock our books and our orders will go up, and we're very happy with that. So, but then also always orderable through big box stores, through Amazon, Target, Walmart, your big chains. And if they're not on shelves, you can always order them from their website. Or so my local indie is Rebel Heart. And she has a little order page on her website, or you can always call. And if you do that, I go in and I sign books. Like, so if somebody orders one from her, I'll always go in and sign it. And so that's just kind of a fun thing. And then I get to support art. I live in a really small town. There's like 1,900 people, and it's very tourism based. And if we're on fire, like we often are, then we don't get our tourists, and our small businesses really suffer. So I'm always trying to keep my local indie bookstore there, because I love her and she's so pro romance, and I do a romance book club there. So yeah, but anywhere. And I'm of the opinion, like Sheila, like get the books however you can, get them from the library, get them from Amazon if that's easier for you to order them. I don't judge anybody based on, like, there's not a morally superior way to get it. You do.
I agree. Just get the book and read the book. And enjoy the story.
And so I have, this summer is like, honestly, it's a little bit crazy. And again, it's because things are weird. Like, I had a book out in England over a year ago that's now coming out here. So again, it's like,
what's that?
That's called Other People's Weddings, and that's a rom-com.
Oh, cute title.
I love that title. That was one of my titles that like stuck. I think that's what sold the book. And so it's called Other People's Weddings. That's out July 15th. It's been out in England. And it is, it's a kind of an enemies to lovers, like they're lifelong enemies in this small town. But he's a wedding photographer and she bakes cakes, and they keep interacting with each other at other people's weddings.
Cute. I love that concept.
They cannot get rid of each other. So they've got years and years of sort of sparring, and including a time when, have you ever seen those videos of the bears in like the Smoky Mountains, and they get into people's cars if they don't lock the car?
Oh, I would have a heart attack.
So I did a thing where she had made this beautiful wedding cake, and a bear gets into her car and destroys the cake. So anyway, it's super fun. I'm going to answer this because Pam said, do we get royalties if we order from a company like Thrift Books? If they're new, then yes, but if they're used, then no. But I don't care. Lots of people I have found so many authors from used bookstores, from little free libraries, from, we used to have a book exchange, little free libraries. I spent tons of times in a library as a kid. And if the book is sitting there, I mean, I'd rather have it be read. Like, obviously I love to make money at this job. It's great. It's what lets me keep doing it. But there's just, I would rather have the stories be read, honestly.
Yeah.
And so, so that book's super fun. That's out July 15th here. July 1st, I have Unbroken, and with this beautiful pink cover coming out with Berkeley. But that book has been out in print. This is like the third time. So a lot of people already have it. But this is the first time it's ever been in trade paperback. And the new cover is gorgeous. It's like bright.
Fun. So very pretty. Cool.
And then I have Outlaw Lake out in September. which is the second book in my Wrestler Mountain series with Kensington. And then in October, I have my very last cowboy book with Harlequin called Cowboy It's Cold Outside, which has I think it is the best cover that anyone has ever made for me. It is literally the most gorgeous cover in existence. And I've posted it like 3 times, and every time it's gone viral because it is so pretty. And the artist's name is Betsy Cola, which is the cutest thing. And it's one of those things where I was like, it was magic. Like, I said what I wanted. Harlequin gave me a choice of artists. I chose her based on her work. And then she just did something that was so beyond. It looks like a vintage Western movie poster.
How
like
fun.
Old fashioned. So even though it's an illustrated cover, it evokes kind of the old clinch covers, which is I like so much better. And so I loved getting those kind of, because sometimes the new romance covers, they don't have the chemistry, you know? And
What was the title? I'm
so
sorry,
that
what
was
was the title of that one?
Cowboy It's Cold Outside.
I love that title.
It's so, and yeah, and the cover is just, it's just cute and everything. It's just so cute. So anyway, that's that's coming too.
Very fun. So guys, lots of books coming out that you might want to check into. And I'm going to be excited to read. I mean, Cruel Summer really does sound fabulous. And so I'm definitely going to have to read that one. Now, Maisey and I write slightly different style. I think you write a little bit more spice in your books. So
yeah,
that's going to have some spice in it.
Yeah.
Just in case.
There's a little. I would say the women's fiction is always a little less. But I will tell you, I tried to write women's fiction without any. And Harlequin sent it right back, and they said, "Nope." They said you're too good at that. You've got to put it in.
You got to be who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
You know. So
yeah. So my books are open door. That is my disclaimer. I really think that they are that it's very character based, and I like to believe that they are scenes that are really important for the emotions. Like, I never market my books as like spicy books. Like, I'll put that on there when I'm in like, like Instagram, where people are looking for that as a keyword. But I'm like, that's not something that I would ever, because it's about the emotion to me, So it's about the emotional connection, and that can either build something or break something if you're not ready to deal with the ramifications of it. And so to me, it's like, I don't know, sometimes I think that gets a little bit like, oh, because it's there to, it's so racy. And I'm like, I don't know, I guess it is, but it's like, it's part of the story for me. So that's kind of how I use it in my books.
But a lot of readers want that too. So, I mean, that's the beauty of this, different strokes for different folks. Mm-hmm. And we all write just a little bit differently. And so, if you don't happen to like what one of us writes, then there's someone else who's going to give you what you're looking for. So books are a subjective thing, and it's a personal relationship with a book when you're reading it. So, and I think we as authors make an unwritten contract with our readers. I know with my readers, they're going to expect to see a certain type of book for a Sheila Roberts book. If you're a Maisey Yates reader, you're going to expect to see a certain type of book. By the way, and I should have asked you this before we went on air, so this is probably I should not be doing this to you, throwing you into the dust here on the real moment. But I heard one time a mutual friend said something about how your mom picked your name. Your mom was sure you were going to become famous someday. That is not an urban legend, is it? That's
no, it's not. So not famous necessarily, but she liked the name Maisey. And she chose the spelling, which people can't pronounce, but it's like, you can take it up with my mom. So good luck. But she, and first of all, she would fight with you. So, but she chose the spelling because when she was writing them all down, writing all the different spellings down, she said that she thought that would look best on a book cover. And so that was her thought, was like, well, if she is a writer. And so that is one reason I use my government name mainly when I can. I have a couple pen names. My mom would agree with you, Cindy. She said, I would rather have open door done in taste than a lot of foul language. And so my books do have some language in them. My mom was not a fan. She was okay with the sex. She was not okay.
Well, that's funny. My mom was okay with either. Oh my gosh, I got in trouble.
My grandma's 98 and she's kind of the same. She likes a spicier romance novel. I mean, she was reading, the old books with Fabio on the cover there was a lot going on. I mean, that might have been euphemistic, but that it was all happening. That's what I always tell people when they go, it's not your grandmother's romance. I'm like, I don't know, your grandma's romance was pretty racy. I
That's
think you
funny.
just might your grandma, I think you might be underestimating your grandma. But like so but my grandma says, oh, it's language for a younger person, but she's 98, so most people are younger than her.
I'm glad to hear there's somebody I'm younger than. I'm beginning to wonder. Oh my gosh. Anyway, well, so guys, that's kind of Maisey is, of course, trying to get things done, so we don't want to keep her forever. But I just want to thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this today. She's so much fun to talk to, isn't she? And hope you got your questions answered and enjoyed our chatting about moms and books and all that good stuff.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, I'm happy, and thanks again for my Instagram people for joining us. And I tried to keep it. If you made comments and I missed it on that platform, I apologize. I don't think we got any on that platform, but trying to make sure I kept up with all of you so you could feel part of this. And speaking of being part of things, Maisey is going to do a giveaway. And so what I would need to do is, if you've made comments, we'll be looking through those and we'll pick a name, and then she's going to send you a copy of
Wrestler Mountain.
All right, there you go. So how fun is that? So see, it pays to
You have it already. I'll send you an arc of the next one because I did get arcs.
Oh, that's sweet. And she did mention when we were talking earlier, keep in mind, she is working on 300 books at the same time. And so when she can get to the post office, she will get your book. Guys, you might not get your book tomorrow or the next day or next. We've got 4th of July coming up. So give Maisey some grace and give her time. But she's a woman of her word, and she will get your book to you. And I will make an announcement on the Facebook page. I don't see any. Guys, if you comment on Insta, I don't see it. But so it looks like it's going to be mainly with our Facebook gang. And I'll let you know who our big winner is. Gerhard will pick a winner, and we'll post that. And then Maisey will be happy to get you a book. And thanks for joining us. We will not be doing a gathering next week because that's 4th of July weekend. And I know you're all being busy with family and camping and picnics and all those other good things. But we'll be back again soon after. And got Christmas in July coming up here this month. We'll have Hallmark Jenny back on to be talking about Hallmark Christmas in July movies. Be doing something with Karen Shaler and Nancy Nagel. We're going to be doing some Christmas fun and all kinds of goodies and chat. And so we do have some fun things planned for you later this month. I'll make sure that I announce it so you know. But meanwhile, y'all have a great 4th of July, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And special thanks to Maisey for taking the time out of her writing schedule. Have a great 4th, everybody. And we're going to end our stream right now.